I'm Dr. Kimberlee Mendoza, and this is another episode of Blue Fire Faith. Today we're going to talk about letting God reign in our lives. Now, I've ridden a horse a few times. I don't know if any of you out there are cowboys or, I have cousins that they did rodeos and stuff like that. I've ridden a horse enough to know that the reins that you hold on to, if you pull back on them, the horse will, slow down or stop. If you kind of go one way or the other, then the horse will turn that direction. And so when we rein the horse, it will follow our lead. And so we need to allow God, the reins in our life, to reign our life. Our verse for today is Romans 5:17. For it is by the trespass of one man, death resigned through that one man. How much more will those who receives God abundant provision of grace and the gift of righteousness reign in the life through one man, Jesus Christ? And that's Romans 5:17. Dwight L. Moody said, "Let God have your life, and He can do way more with it than you can." And it's true. I mean, as we kind of give up our lives to the Lord and we allow Him to start to do amazing things in us, it's pretty amazing what He can do. And a lot of times, we want to be like the stubborn horse or the mule who is, kind of not allowing the Lord to direct our lives. And we pull back and we dig in, and it's just really frustrating. Here's something. I have a story for you. I always like to share like a story. And today's was probably one of the more humiliating moments for me. I had, as you know, I've said several times on this video that I was praying really hard for my future that God had told me I would have. And it took 2 years and about 700 resumes for me to finally get to that purpose. Well, I remember sitting around with all of my family members, my sons, my stepdad, my stepmother, I can't remember all who was there, but my husband was there. There was a bunch of people there, and they were all sitting around the couches, and I was kind of talking about how frustrated I was that I couldn't get a job, and I have my PhD. Why is this so hard for me? And I had been teaching for 10 years, so it wasn't like I didn't have any experience, and I just could not figure out why it wasn't happening. And my family, one by one, started saying, well, I've just always been given a job. I never had to go get one. And then the next person would say, yeah, me too. Like, God just gives them to me. And they went down the line, and everyone's like, yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. I've never applied for a job before. It's just been handed to me, like one by one by one. And I start crying because I'm like, well, God's never done that for me. And my dad stops, and everybody goes quiet. He looks right at me in my eyes, and he said, that's because you're always trying to make it happen yourself. Whoa, was that impactful, and man, did it hurt. It was true. I have always tried to make things happen myself. I am type A personality times 20. And people always make jokes that grass does not grow under me. I always tell people, don't tell me you don't want to do something. Don't tell me you want to do something if you are not ready for it to happen right now. Because if you tell me I want to do A, B, or C, I will have A, B, or C ready to go for you like tomorrow. That's just how my personality is. And so the problem with that personality is I don't always give God time to work. I a lot of times will jump ahead and try to make the miracle happen for myself. And I'm very, very aware of that. I read in Mark Batterson's book, Chase the Lion. I don't know if you've ever read that book, but he reminds people not to create your own miracles, that in order to do that, you're literally leaving God out of the scenario. And our miracle will never be as great as what God could have done in our lives. And so we basically, I did the pregnancy illustration on another video where I talked about, a mother would never want their baby to come out early because if that baby did, it would be not healthy. It would probably have lung issues. It would be underdeveloped. Well, that's what happens when we try to create our own miracles. It becomes underdeveloped. Sometimes God will just go, okay, you want to do it yourself? You go right on ahead and do it yourself, and we'll see how far you get. And we get pretty far, but then it's subpar. It's not as good as it could have been if we had just allowed God to reign the situation, to take care of the situation. And so trust me, what I'm preaching right now is probably one of the hardest things I have had to work on in my own life. It is not easy for me. It's every single day. It is a struggle for me to just stop and allow God to take the reins. Even today, my husband and I were talking about something about the future, and I could see my mind going of trying to fix all the scenarios and make it happen. And he's asking me questions that I just don't have the answers for yet. And so I was kind of like quiet because I'm in my brain and trying to say, okay, how am I going to figure this out? Rather than just saying, you know what, I just need to pray about it and let God help me figure that scenario out. I have a verse for us. It is in Proverbs, and it is 19:21. Many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails. And so that's where we need to end up today, is just knowing that if we allow God to have his purposes take over and allow him to direct our paths and not try to do it all ourselves or make it happen because it's not in our timeline. Trust me, I get that 100%. But his timeline is always going to be better, and he's always right on time. He is never early or late. He's right on time. For us, Type A people, it's really hard because we want it like a month before God's ready to give it to us. But I have found he's never late. He's always right on time every single time. Right when I need a bill to be paid, the money is there. Right when I've got a situation at work or whatever, the right person is there. Like, it's just, we have to trust it. I remember one time my husband was supposed to lead. We were going to start a youth group. I was the new youth pastor, and my husband was going to be doing the worship, and worship was supposed to start that night. Like, the youth group for the first time was supposed to start that night, and my husband did not have a worship team. It was just him. And he was like, you know, God's always provided musicians for me. I don't know. And we get to church, and sure enough, there is a brand new family there, and that family just happens to play different instruments. We ended up almost overnight with a full band. It was all one family, and then another family came, I think, like the next week, and then they filled the few holes we had. I mean, we had everything. We had a guitar, we had drums, we had bass and guitar and piano. We had it all, and God provided all that. And so it might have been really frustrating to us to think, okay, we're starting youth group tonight, we have nothing. But God's like, you didn't need it until today. So this is the day I gave it to you because this is when you needed it. And so it's just, we have to learn to trust that. And so that's where we end today. If you are liking these videos at all, please subscribe. I always forget to say that, and, you know, or like or share. Sometimes, you know, I do these videos and I wonder if anybody is out there watching, and that's okay because I feel like I'm doing it unto the Lord, and I'm hoping at least one person is touched by whatever I'm sharing. But if you can, share, like, subscribe, all of those things that go with this. All right. You have a wonderful, blessed day. Take care. Bye-bye.